let's see. What challenges do distributed teams find? Normally it starts with a poor communication, then we start feeling disconnected from the team, then we go into no sense of belonging. You know, I don't really belong to this team. Who are these people? I feel lonely. I don't really trust them. I don't want to tell them what I think. And then I get bored, and at the end, it's like super unmotivation. So we're going to address some of these challenges, and I will give you some tips to address these challenges. Before we get started, let me give you some information about myself. I'm here representing Ricaris. Have a nice day. It's an multilingual outsourcing company based in Barcelona, Spain. And we started back 6 years ago when the Spanish web pages were very successful and they wanted to grow in other markets. So they needed talent that spoke those languages, people that would do translations, that would do customer service, validation, etc. And we were in Barcelona, and it's a very cosmopolitan city, but there was not enough talent. So we were wondering, well, how are we going to do this? We cannot bring all these people here, so how are we going to manage? So we said, well, why don't we think about hiring people from other parts of the world? So we said, wait, what if I could hire talent from anywhere in the world? So I'd have this huge pool of people. Let them work from the best location possible for them, whether it's their home, a co-working space, whatever. Reward them in the best possible way. And then at the same time, keep the flexibility inside our company so the infrastructure is flexible and we can adapt to our clients' needs and to our needs. So we ended up with a 100% distributed team. And here you can see all the little lighthouses are our workers. We have people working, collaborating with us in 25 different countries, and we're working around the clock. So I am here to say that it is possible to have a distributed team that works over the years. Let me give you some more numbers to reinforce the idea that it's possible. In HR, we have a really, really low turnover rate. The people that work with us stay with us. We have people that have been with us for 5 years, and they're not leaving. The surprising thing is that I have only met 7 out of 228 people that work with us. And this is pretty incredible because normally people say, oh, well, if you work distributed, at least you need to meet once a year. Well, no. In 6 years, we have spent less than 500 euros in plane tickets and hotels. So you don't have to meet with a team. What have we done instead? We have spent all the money that other companies spend in plane tickets and in hotel rooms and in gatherings. We have spent that in psychologists and team leaders that do virtual team activities, virtual meetings, that prepare virtual water coolers, in trainings. So we spend all the money instead of in airline tickets, we spend it in the team, in showing that we care and in showing our values to the team and making a team that is as efficient and as strong as a face-to-face team, a normal, traditional kind of office. So how do we do it? First of all, the most important thing, I would say, it happens in the recruiting. There is the HR department, and probably a lot of you are also interviewing the people that are going to work in your team. So not everybody can work remotely. We're looking for a person that has the experience, that has the skills, that has the emotional intelligence, probably. Tomorrow afternoon at 3, there's a talk that's going to be talking about these extra things that people are looking for developers. I think it's going to be very interesting. So we need to look for all these things, but also we need to look for a specific person that is able to work remotely. Not everybody can work remotely. So the first thing is that the person needs to be somehow autonomous, because they're going to be far from the office, they're going to be by themselves. So they need to have a little bit of little engine inside. And how do you discover if somebody is autonomous when you do an interview? Well, probably you can ask them simple questions like, how are you going to organize your day if you work for us? If the answer is, well, I was hoping that you would tell me about that, then that person's not autonomous. You want for somebody that's already has answers to these kinds of things. Also, I think from experience, you can ask about the hobbies that the person has. The weirder the hobbies are, the more autonomous and independent thinker the person is. So look for that. Also, we're looking for people that have a certain degree of motivation. The manager, when it's distributed, can do so much. So you need the person to be motivated, to be proactive, and proactive by nature. So in the interview, how are you going to find out if a person is a self-motivator? Well, you can ask them about their changes in life. If they studied something because their parents told them to, if they moved to a city because their partner wanted to, if all the changes in life, the important changes, came from the outside, that person is only reacting. It's not proactive. It's not a self-motivator. So look for people who are proactive in their life choices. Also, you need the person to be a good communicator, at least in writing, because the communication we're going to see is like the basics of everything that we do. If the person cannot communicate, they can be a great coder, but we're not going to get very far with that person. So make sure that they can communicate well. And how can you see that? You can see that in the interviews. You can see the kind of questions that they do, and you can see if they understand what you're saying, because communication is not only about what you say, but also about how you listen. If you're able to listen to what the other person is explaining. So look for that, for the good communicator. And most important, you can motivate people, you can teach them to be good communicators, but the most important thing is that they relate with the values and the purpose of your company, that they really want to do that job. Otherwise, there's no point. And this point is really valid for remote workers and all kinds of workers, but they need to somehow relate to that. For example, in our company, there's so many outsourcing companies, so we wanted to be the best one. We wanted to be the one that had the better quality, the most excellent one. So we asked people in the interview about their favorite restaurant, because we wanted to see if they understood excellence, if they gave the same importance than us to excellence. So we asked them about their favorite restaurant. And if the person would say, well, my favorite restaurant, they don't really serve a lot of food, but we go there with our friends and we have beers, and it's a restaurant, but it's just like home. Good. Okay, that person's very social. Very good, 10 points. But is that what we're looking for? No, we're looking for a person that answers to us. Well, my favorite restaurant is one where the quality of the food is amazing. They created a fantastic ambience. The service is always great, and the overall experience of going there is amazing. So that person already in their everyday life has the same values as us. They value excellence, they value quality. So even with stupid questions that might seem stupid, you can find that information and see if the person can relate. Also, you can ask questions regarding the values of your company. But I understand that sometimes you work for a project and like a year later you work for a different company, so that can be tricky a little bit. And from recruiting point, from point zero, when you first contact a person that's going to work remotely, set very clear expectations. It's always good to start at the very beginning with the expectations. Second thing after recruiting is company culture. Briefly, so you understand the rest of the talk. Our company is called Riccati's Have a Nice Day. It's called Have a Nice Day because we want our clients to have a nice day and we want our team members to have a nice day. Riccati's, that does not exist, so we're rich, or so people make the owners of Riccati's rich. No, it exists to help clients outsource their non-core tasks and do it in a way that they have a nice day, and also to help our workers have fun and grow during those 8 hours that they are with us. So this company culture, these values, how do we spread them, all over the world? How do we make sure that our workers understand these values that are then going to make the team effective? Well, first of all, we implement this company culture with the new hire tunnel. When you start a job in a normal office, you go to the office and you tell the person in the front desk, you say, well, it's my first day here. If the person replies to you nicely, you already have information. Well, this person's somehow happy at work. If the person's grumpy, okay, you got some information too. Then you walk to your office. And what do you see there? On the way to your office or on the way to your desk, you see the meeting rooms. And in the meeting rooms, you can observe what people are doing. Maybe they're all yelling at each other. Maybe there's one speaking and the rest are listening. Maybe they're all standing up and playing games. You see things. You start understanding what the relations are like in the office, and you start being able to adapt. By getting all this information, you are adapting to what you're going to find in the office and the way that you're supposed to react. You also can see how people have their desks decorated, if they're on the phone or if they're concentrated. You get information all the time when you're in an office. When you're working in a distributed team, you don't have any of that. So what we created is this new hire tunnel where we walk together with a person that is new. So managers during the first day, managers and team members show this person how it's going to be like in the office, so the person understands the environment and can grow from there. We do that with what we called Good Vibes Handbook, or Buena Onda Handbook for the Spanish speakers. And it's just a book where we set very clear expectations about what we're going to do for the team member and what we expect from the team member. We explain really basic ground rules, and these give like context to the person, where they can grow from there. And also it helps us break paradigms, because we are a multicultural team. So people from different parts of the world expect different things. For example, we were working with very young people from Colombia, and they thought, well, this is my first or second job, and they're going to treat me like shit. I'm going to be doing overtime. I'm not going to get paid for these extra hours, and I'm going to leave the job as soon as I can. Well, they're still working with us 5 or 6 years later, because at the very beginning, we told them, this is not what you're going to be experiencing. This is not what it's about. It's a good opportunity at the very beginning to tell people what your culture is about and how you're going to be treating them. And then, of course, you need to repeat this with your actions and verbally too, but mainly with your actions over time. So it's a good moment to, when you have a multicultural team, to put like these ground rules. Something else that we do when people start is we give them these what we call speed courses. We were not trained to work remotely. At university, at least I wasn't, they did not teach me how to work remotely. So we give that information to the people. We teach them about email writing, about communications, written communications, about exercising, how to stay healthy if you're working 8 hours sitting down. So we give all these speed courses, and what we are doing is that we're showing that we care. So this is a recommendation. If your company's culture is, I care about the people working in my team, then I'd recommend that you give people tools to work remotely, because it's not something that we learn in school. And then we have this daily mentoring during the first 2 weeks. Everything, and I know this is hard, everything should be documented for the only, not because it's like a Bible that cannot be touched, but because it's very hard to ask questions when you're working remotely. Asking a simple question that you would normally ask while getting water, or while having a coffee, or while having a cigarette break, when you're working remotely, it suddenly becomes like a big thing. So if you can, document everything so people can go back to these documents and find the information there. But also make the documents alive, so they're not like this Bible that cannot be touched. All right, so we saw how to recruit a good, what's supposed to be a good remote worker, how we implement this company culture, how do we keep it? With repetition. When you're working with distributed teams, you have to repeat things more often. And it's simply like that. There's companies that believe in what they call spray and pray. Spray, you spray ideas, full, one day, and then you pray that something is going to grow. Something is going to come out of there. Well, we don't believe in that. We believe in repetition, because spraying and praying just doesn't work. So we're all the time repeating our company values and our company culture. How? The people who give this example are the team leaders, scrum masters, whatever you want to call them. They're repeating constantly these values that the company has. And they're helping a lot the people who are in the team, who are the team members. The idea here is that when you're working remotely, the same way that when you're in the office, for the first time, you don't know what's going on. When you're starting a project, you also don't know all the information. There's a lot of things that are hiding for you. So the job of the team leader is to provide this information and to give the context of the entire project. And then another thing that we find very important is assertive feedback. Is there any way we can get some air, like, to cool down the temperature here? I see people falling asleep, and it's obviously not my fault. Are you guys hot too? Or it's just me, yeah? Okay, well, so assertive feedback. Being assertive, are you familiar with the term, the assertive, yeah? Okay. Okay, so being assertive is when you are communicating very strongly about, you're sure about your point of view, you want to communicate that, you're not willing to give too much, but you're doing it in a non-aggressive way. So you're understanding who's the person in front of you, and you're adapting what you're saying and how you're saying it to the other person. And for us, this is very important, because when you are when you're remote, it's very easy to have misunderstandings in your team. So what we do with team leaders is that the first time that they start giving feedback to the people of the team, we ask them, okay, write this message. And once it's written with all the things they would like to say to the team member with feedback, we say, all right, now make sure that each and every sentence in the email is positive, it's constructive, it's not aggressive. And the idea is that when the person receives the message, they're not going to feel like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing here, it's obvious that I'm not good enough, or here they are telling me again what to do. No, that you're guiding the person, that you're helping them get somewhere, get wherever they want. And that they feel a bond also with the team leader. So when the crisis comes, there is already some bonding, and the team leader can count on that person. So an exercise that I would recommend that you do is that every time that you write an email, before hitting the send button, you reread each sentence and make sure it's constructive, it's speaking to the person who is going to receive it, and that you are taking into account who that person is and in what point in their career are and in the project they are. At the beginning, it takes a lot of time because you have to rewrite every single sentence, but then at the end, it becomes really fast, and you kind of rewire your brain. So that's an exercise that I would advise you to do. Okay, so now how do we keep them sustainable? How do we keep them healthy? First thing is that we need to know who is in our team. We need to be actively listening to who is in our team. And that means that when we are talking to a team member, even if it's through video, we are not thinking about the thing I have to tell them or what I'm going to say next. We're just, at the moment, listening to the person. And we need to know who our team members are. And when we are working in a normal office, it's very easy because we just have coffee, or we have a break, or we go for beers. But here we need to make these things happen. And what we like to do are personality tests that then we analyze all together. So it's like self-assessment tools or self-assessment tests that tells us who the people in the team are. Is the person analytical? Is the person very creative? Is the person the kind that they like to solve very complex things? Is the person the one that likes that everybody is friendly with everybody? And when we have that information about team members, we can give them specific tasks that relate to what they are like. So we need to know who is in our team. And the way to do that is to talk to the team members and to listen to them. And these tools, of course, they can help us. Team activities. Later, we'll see a team activity that, that helps create bonding. But also, team activities help us know the people who are in our team and build the famous trust. And trust, we can only trust the people that we know. So if you want to have trust in your environment, in your virtual office, you need to start with giving information about yourself, getting information about the people who are in your team. It doesn't mean that you have to become best friends, but you need to know information about them. And sometimes when you're working remotely, it's a little bit hard because, well, I don't want to ask these kinds of questions. I don't want to get too personal. What I do is that I give information about myself. I say, well, I'm getting my sailing license, or I'm reading this book, or I stayed up until 4 watching this TV show. And then hopefully other people are also going to give some information about themselves. You need to get personal with your team if you want to make things smooth and have trust. More things to keep them healthy. Provide feedback, and here I say weekly. It really depends on the kind of project you're working in, but it's very clear that engaged employees receive a lot of feedback. And what is funny, in the same study as this one here, it says that employees love to get feedback, but it's the managers, the one that don't like to give feedback. So get over that and just give it, because it's very good for people. We mentioned already the real empowerment and support the people. They're alone. They're in their co-working space, or they're in a satellite office. Know who they are, know their purpose in life or at work, and empower them. Give them the tools so they can grow, so they can feel like their job has a meaning. And show warmth in all the communications that you have. If you're doing video, it's very easy to show warmth, but if you are using like other tools to communicate, try to humanize a little bit the medium. And the ways to do that are mentioning personal things, using icons, always saying hi, always saying goodbye. If you can make jokes, I cannot make jokes, but there's people that are able to do that. So, so try to be a little bit warm. And continuously work on the company values. Don't let those company values only arrive to the person in the first day. Try to creatively talk about them throughout the time that the person's at work, and repeat why each person is important. There's a ton of ways to say why somebody's work is important, and I think that in every meeting it should be mentioned why somebody's job is important. You can do that by saying how another department has been affected by the work that the person does, how our client is doing so well, messages that we get from the customer service team saying that the new feature has a good acceptance. Just always in meetings, when you're talking to your team, tell them how their work is important, and find real examples, tangible examples, not only a sentence, might work okay, but just say, okay, we got this message and it says this, or the team next door is benefiting from what we do in this way. You know, find examples so people have real reasons to know why their work is important. and if you can involve your team in goal settings. All right, something else that works for us is to have a monthly meeting. In the room next door, I loved it because he said no more meetings. And I really think that that's the way it should go. We have so many collaboration tools right now. We can work in so many ways that there's no reason why we should be having 2-hour-long meetings anymore. I think we should have less meetings, and we should use them to communicate, to have fun, to know the other people in the team, but not so much to discuss how we're going to do something, or somebody just telling us what we have to do, like he was saying. We have a monthly Congress, and I know that some of you work with people in different time zones, and that's always a problem when you have to wake up at 6 in the morning or stay up until midnight so you can have these meetings. So my advice would be try to reduce all the meetings, analyze the meetings that you're having, try to kill all these 2-hour meetings, and just have maybe once a month meeting. It's okay once a month to have to wake up at 5 in the morning, but not every week, and certainly not every day. So we have this monthly meeting. It's a 2-hour meeting, and I'm going to share with you what we do, and hopefully you can find some ideas. First, always we start with a fun icebreaker or a moment where we share personal information. If the team has been working together for a long time, they already have a lot of knowledge about each other, and it's very easy. Otherwise, we always start with an icebreaker, and the icebreaker can be 15 minutes long or can be just 5 minutes short. You can ask questions like, what TV show you're watching, or what do you like to do? Or you can have longer icebreakers where people can get a little bit more creative, or where you can even talk about things that relate to the business. When I upload this on SlideShare, I'm also going to include after this specific icebreakers that you can use with your team. We're just not going to go into that right now, but you will have that information. Once people are relaxed and awake, we start with Into the Circle, a moment where, again, we're going towards trust, and we're helping people understand what's going on in the company, and also they share information about what's happening in their team. And then after that, we go into a course. It's a development moment where either we bring somebody from outside or somebody in the team talks about something that they're doing. And at the end, always, we end on a high note. We end with a fun team activity. And again, we cannot be running in a forest, but there's many ways to do activities with a team that are going to help with the bonding, and that are going to help us create the trust. Again, when I upload the slides, I will put some fun activities for you. Okay, now we'll quickly look at some motivation killers and briefly know how to beat them. The first one is the communication challenges. How many of you here use video for all the meetings that you have with your remote teams? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I would like, in the future, I'd like to see everybody raising their hands, because look what happens when we don't use video, when we're only doing conference call. People are doing other work, they're sending emails, they're eating or chopping onions, they are going to the restroom, they are texting. And then we complain and we say that remote teams don't work. Of course they don't work if we are going to the bathroom while we are in a meeting. You know, it's no surprise. So how do you change this? How do you make these communications a little bit smoother? Using video. Why would you use video? Because of the body language. Because when we are meeting with somebody, there's like an immediate connection with the person, because we can look them in the eyes, we can see how they move. We can also learn from the background, see what's behind them. So I would recommend that you always use video, and you will see how the communication, how things are way more clear with your distributed team. Try it. I know it's kind of hard because you kind of have to do your hair and clean the desk and not wear your pajamas. Well, or you can wear your pajamas, just don't be naked. I'd recommend that you try that. And more than giving you advice, I would say think about other ways of communication. How can I make my communications warmer? How can I humanize this distance that's between us? One way is to get personal, we mentioned that, providing regular feedback, and making sure that team leaders are always available. And I don't mean that they have to be there 24/7. I mean that when they receive a message, when they receive a chat message, maybe they don't have time to reply immediately, but they should say, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So the person on the other end doesn't feel left behind. It's very important to stay on top of our communications when we work remotely. Otherwise, we start to feel disconnected from the team. Documenting everything, and there's so many available tools. There's so many teams like us that work remote, and there's so many proactive people that have decided to create tools. And there's every day there's new tools for remote teams being created. So use everything that's available. Use the whiteboards, use the screen sharing, all the task management tools, use everything that's available. I'll give you some tools at the end. Something else that happens is loneliness. We said we feel disconnected, there's no trust, I feel lonely, I'm bored. So something that we do to beat this loneliness is promote water coolers. Water cooler is the water machine where you go in the office and you talk to somebody while going there, or when you are there, or wherever you take the water to. And we need this interaction. How do we create water coolers where there's softwares that already have a space called water cooler, like Sococo, I don't know if you know them. Otherwise, you can easily create water coolers by saying, every day at 2, 3, and 4, we can go to this chat room and just chill or talk about projects. But interesting things happen in water coolers. I think that there's more interesting ideas coming up from water coolers than from meetings. So make sure that you create a space where people can communicate freely, where there is not an organized task list, just a place where people can meet and chat. And also, if you can break the virtual world, there's no reason why. If you can pay for co-working spaces or promote regional meetings, there's nothing wrong with it. Something that helps us a lot is to have this private social media where people can talk about personal things. Again, we're talking about building trust between team members, and we can only trust the people that we know. And this one works very well for us. For example, this guy, he goes on an excavate, he asks, oh, can I take 1 month off? Okay, take 1 month off. He comes back and he shows us this. Everybody's happy about him, we know more about him. We can connect in more ways. Something else that helps is team activities. For example, this is a team activity. It's a result of a team activity that I really like. It's from this software company, Collabora. They said, okay, we're going to create a mascot that we all identify with. The team members, they get together in one room and they start deciding the characteristics that the ideal team member should have. So these team members should be fast, should be like kicking ass, should be able to fix things. All right, that's the characteristics of the ideal team member. Then what tools does this person have? Well, when we work, we use code, we use our keyboard, we are working for antenna-related companies. So then they give this to a person that can draw and comes up with this mascot. It's a mascot that you can use for internal documents, you can make mugs. It's something that everybody in the team identifies with. It's something really cool, obviously. And it helps create a bonding. So do activities like these. I'll give you the specifics about this activity too in the slide share. Do activities like this because they will help people relate to each other, and it's fun too. Something else that happens is boredom. Of course, you can have a lot of work, but still be bored about it. And I believe that the boredom, beating boredom should come from the kind of work we do. Still, here's some strategies. One is promoting participation in transversal projects, things that are happening throughout the company, and they can be strictly work-related, like being part of an integration team. Or they can be other things. If somebody in the team is really interested in yoga, maybe they can teach yoga classes. Online, it's possible. If somebody is very interested wanted to study journalism, maybe they can write the newsletter for the company. So let people do other things. So you keep this boredom out. Project-related contests. Sprints are kind of that, but maybe they could be more fun. And the possibility to change projects or tasks inside the project, or maybe to shadow somebody or work with somebody else. Think about all these things that are going to help your team not be bored. Of course, show them that there is a way to grow and give them the tools, pay for masters, pay for conferences. All these things are going to help people stay connected with your office, with your team. And of course, do activities outside the project, but that's not, it's just at the end of the list. I think I'm going to skip these because, well, no, have fun. Let's go to have fun. Super important. People know each other now. Now they have the basics to have fun. So things you can do, create playlists together. For example, a playlist at the beginning of the project where people put maybe not so upbeat songs there, and playlists for at the end of the project where everybody can put their songs and they can create a discussion and they can have fun talking about music. Or a photo contest. For example, here's an event that everybody was joining is the World Cup, Football World Cup. So people were showing how they were I don't know, disguising themselves for that, or other fun things like coolest graffiti in your town, or best moment of 2014. For example, this is Remy in the Netherlands. He ran his first marathon. He shares this with the entire team, so we feel like we know him better, even though we have never met him, but we feel like we can connect to him a little bit more. So all these things that are fun and that are social are going to help your team be more successful. Here's a list of tools. We're running a little bit late, so you'll just find these later. Thank you.